Tell me that you're insecure without telling me that you're insecure.
So get your ass on a cycle. Get your ass to an imaging center. Get your head scanned. Everything you need to do to Looksmax.
Okay. And for anyone wondering, I am in a temporary setup in Vegas at the moment, hence the background.
I would recommend to all of you, subscribe to Cal today and watch this young man keep bringing you the bangers.
Now, Looksmaxxing has become increasingly popular over the last few years or so through social media, and it's clear to see why. More people are spending more time on social media, scrolling Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, stuff like this. And of course, what's recommended to them does have an influence on them. And what's being pushed is people who are attractive, or maybe people who are pushing it to the extreme. So for instance, they're looksmaxing by doing quite questionable methods, or they're hard maxing, which is basically getting surgeries and whatnot, which this gentleman has. I think he's done potentially something, but he's looking to do a double jaw surgery in the future. Of course, through social media as well, it's perpetuated that you have to be a certain way to be anywhere in life. You need to look a certain way. You need to be over 6 foot. You need to have 6 figures. You need to have a certain car. You need to live in a certain area. And of course, that's perpetuated through social media so much. And looksmaxing seems to be a niche of that.
I mean, the goal is to mug, okay? I just want to mug. I don't give a about getting girls. I don't give a about that shit. I want to mug people, right? I want to walk into a room and people are like, holy shit, look at this guy.
Now, from the top of this video, I actually want to say that I agree with looksmaxers in some way. I'm sure you were expecting me to just outright shun it and push it away and say that it's a pile of crap altogether, but no, I do think that there is some sense to it. Striving to be better in yourself, looks-wise, is great, but just in a sense of regular things. So looking after yourself, eating healthy basically, so having a clean diet, exercising regularly, getting good sleep, having good hygiene, showering regularly, making sure you have a decent haircut, all of these things. That is literally the bare minimum that people should be doing, in my opinion. And in a sense, the fact that that is looksmaxing is kind of odd, in my opinion. But I do diverge with most looksmaxers that you see on social media when it gets to a certain part, and I will go into that later, so stick around. But I did see this video recently, and it did raise some questions in my head for what this kid is actually advocating for people to do, because in my opinion, this whole video kind of screams insecurity, and it screams, in a sense, just social media jargon.
Wouldn't you rather just give something your f***ing all in life? So when people come on and they say, oh, Clav, you're insane for getting surgery. You're insane for doing these anabolics. Well, at least in 5 years, whether I am a Frank Tufano botch job or the next Giga Chad, at least I could say that I gave something my all. So
from the top of this video, he actually does give a good message. Trying your hardest to achieve something, giving something your all, and not just doing half effort, half-heartedly just going at something. And if it does work, it does. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, right? I get his message, and I do respect that in a way. It's good to strive towards something. However, then you realize what he's really advocating for. He's not saying strive towards being the best person that you can be, strive towards being or having the best finances or something like this. No, he's striving to be the best looking person by taking peptides, anabolic steroids, getting surgeries perhaps, things like that. It's very questionable. In my opinion, that does give the wrong message, because if you cut that in half, strive to be the best person that you could be and give something your all. Perfect. Advocate for steroids and peptide use? No. In fact, on face value, this video does have quite a good message. He's advocating for people to have a different viewpoint in life and to strive towards something. He mentions, for instance, that don't think about the side effects, don't think about what could happen, think about what you could be missing out on. Which again, is great. Many people think about what could happen in life. Oh, what if this person, what if that person? No, you should be thinking about what I could do if I were to achieve something. But then again, you have to remember what he's advocating for.
Start blasting those steroids and stop asking, what could happen if I hop on steroids? What could happen if I get that surgery? And ask yourself, what could you miss out on? What kind of love, what kind of salary, what type of every single type of improvement possible in your life could you be missing out on, right?
He's basically saying, don't think about the side effects of steroids. Don't think about the side effects of these surgeries, for instance. It's the fact that you put an effort in and you tried your best. Let me give you an example, right? That's like saying you go out with someone, like just, for an evening meal or something like that, and then they offer you a drug, a recreational drug. I don't want to go into any just in case I get demonetized because I'm not entirely sure of how much I can and cannot say. But look, they'll say, look, you'll have a great evening if you take this. But then you're like, oh, but what about the side effects? What if I react badly to it? What if I have, a freaking seizure, stroke, epileptic fit? I'm not entirely sure, right? But you have a bad reaction to these drugs. But then they'll say, oh no, don't think about that. Just think about the good evening that you'd have. Don't think about getting addicted. Don't think about, the side effects of where you'd end up if you took too much of it in some freaking dumpster in a back alleyway. No, think about the good evening that you're going to have, because exactly what he's saying in regard to something like anabolics. Think about all the side effects that you could have. Infertility, terrible androgenic side effects like acne, oily skin, gynecomastia. Your natural hormones could be freaking shot. You could have hair loss. You could have yellowing of the eyes. You could have liver or kidney failure. You could have heart failure. You could have thickening of the blood. And of course, you get those squiggly lines or, the veins, if that makes sense. There are literally so many side effects that you can get from steroids. And so to just simply say, oh, think about what could happen. Oh, you could get jacked. What?
Top 20% of men on Tinder are getting access to 80% of women. And you're talking about I'm the crazy one for wanting to do double jaw surgery? How about it's crazy how hypergamous women have become and how evil society is? And the answer to this is looks. The answer to this is the black pill.
Now, this is exactly what I was referring to earlier with people spending a lot of time on social media. People get the perception that they need to be a certain way to even get a girlfriend or achieve anything in life, or to say that you've achieved something in life is by looksmaxxing or something like that. He basically says that women have become increasingly hypergamous nowadays. 20% of the men on Tinder and these dating apps are getting all of the women. You see that through social media all the time. But let's actually think about the context of someone like Clavicular. This guy lives in Los Angeles. Yeah, I just want to let that set in for a moment, because ultimately one of these cities, whether it be LA, whether it be Miami, or these party cities or something like that, of course these women are becoming increasingly hypergamous, if that makes sense. But these are very small niche demographics of women that you see in these specific areas. Like, the average woman isn't going to care if you look like freaking Giga Chad, let's be honest. They may find that attractive, perhaps. Like, I'm sure that they don't really go to sleep thinking about that, if I'm honest. Because although social media is pushing stuff like the Whatever podcast, Fresh and Fit, the Tate Brothers and stuff like this, not necessarily saying that they're bad people, I'm just saying that they're given an idea that basically you need to be this 6 figures, 6 foot, friggin' ripped, great looking and all this stuff like this. You have to be a 10 out of 10 Giga Chad to get a girlfriend in any sense. Like, that is really not the case. That is what's pushed through social media. So literally, if you kind of just went off social media, went into the real world for a moment, started speaking to a few more people, then you'd realize that this really isn't the case.
So get your ass on a cycle. Get your ass to an imaging center. Get your head scanned. Everything you need to do to Looksmax. Do your research. Do every little thing imaginable to improve your life. And you will start having everything go right for you just immediately. Right? You're going to start getting promotions. Girls are going to start coming up to you.
Oh my days, I literally have no words for that at all. Now, it's one thing to be promoting anabolic steroids to an older audience, but then there's also teenagers, which he's basically advocating for.
It is horrible. Kids are getting bullied every day. We're seeing more and more videos of kids crying because they're getting bullied in school. Should you tell that kid, oh, he's just going to wait until puberty's over, then his acne will go away? No, you should be telling that kid exactly how to fix his acne yesterday, today. It's ridiculous. The consequences of not looking good will always surpass the side effects or the risk profile of any of the shit that I am talking about.
I'm sure that most of these guys, audiences in the cookie-verse, if that makes sense, through TikTok, whether it be someone like Kashami, Zeta, Clav, Cookie, any of these guys, their audience is going to be younger than they are. So for instance, when he mentions here people who have acne, oh no, you should take Accutane, which of course is a pharmaceutical drug used to treat acne, but it has side effects. And again, if you were telling this to someone who's an adult, they can basically make a conscious decision because they'd probably be mature enough to say, is it worth doing? I'm not entirely sure, right? But if you're telling someone who can't even buy a glass of alcohol, they legally probably wouldn't be able to vote. If you're telling them to take pharmaceutical grade drugs to basically clear their acne or basically Looksmax, what message is that portraying?
You're living in a new universe overnight if you ascend. So it makes no sense, all this fear-mongering.
Because contrary to what he's saying in this entire video, which is basically what I'm doing in this video, to him, it's fear-mongering. Yet, if you look at these clips I'm about to show you, this whole video, he's fear-mongering.
That you guys have never done something hard in your entire life. You've never actually put in a second's effort. I'm not going for, the normie bullshit lifestyle where you're sitting in a job that you hate with no girls that even want to look at you. I'm not interested in that. Most people won't even have a girl look their direction for years, for months. Every one of your peers around you is going to surpass you. So you have to start now, not tomorrow, not the next day, now. Start blasting those steroids because you are going to look back on your worthless, miserable life if you are not attractive and think, wow, I really ruined everything. I really screwed this up.
Like, I don't think it gets more fear-mongering than that. You're basically telling people that they're never going to be able to get female attention, that they're never going to get anywhere in life, that they're going to be missing out if they don't start taking GLP-1 agonists within the next freaking day. They should have done it yesterday. They should be taking Accutane yesterday. They should be doing research into Looksmaxxing yesterday, as he says throughout the video. This whole entire video is fear-mongering so that they, or people even, can start investing into Looksmaxxing stuff. And believe it or not, by the way, guys, would you believe me if I told you that Clav has a peptide company? He also has courses on Looksmaxxing. Yeah, it's quite interesting that he'd be advocating for people to take peptides, perhaps anabolics. Maybe he'll talk about people signing up to a course or doing whatever it takes to Looksmax. Yeah, I don't know why he'd be talking about that stuff. Now, in my overall opinion on this, because I did say earlier that I agree with them to an extent, yet there is a part where I diverge. And that's when it comes to stuff like hard maxing. Hard maxing is to do with having surgeries and stuff like that, which I ultimately think is just a step too far. Looksmaxing in a sense of, looking after yourself in the gym, getting leaner, taking regular showers, perhaps dressing nicely and getting a good haircut are the bare minimum that people should do, and I think that that's a good thing. But when people start advocating for jaw surgeries or orbital surgery around their eyes and stuff like that, that's when it gets really, really, really cooked. That being said, though, I myself want to take peptides. I'll be completely honest with you. I myself would like to take peptides in the future, and when I do so, I would like to talk to you guys about that, because that's to do with like bodybuilding stuff like that, perhaps taking retatrutide or other stuff as well. We'll see, but I will talk about that in the future when I get closer to it. I want to do that because it's my personal choice. I am an adult, and I think that it's something I do want to try out. Do I think that anyone else should be doing it? No, I really don't think that you should. But at the end of the day, that's my personal choice. It's not good to advocate to people, especially an influential younger audience, because at the end of the day, this is a very stupid and insecure video, in my opinion, which basically perpetuates for people to do what he's doing and perhaps go down the funnel into his brand and his ecosystem where he himself sells peptides and courses also.